Hello and welcome to another episode of What Travis Says. My name is Travis. Let's talk about Doctor Who. More specifically, let's talk about the 50th anniversary special, The Day of the Doctor. Now in my video a few weeks ago about the Vault, I made some offhanded comment about the Doctor not quite remembering the head count on Gallifrey. I misspoke and said people when the actual quote was children, and there were a few people that weren't shy about letting me know that I was wrong. Which actually got me thinking, so I wanted to pose the question, did the 11th Doctor actually forget how many children were on Gallifrey that day? In the 50th anniversary special, The Day of the Doctor, arguably the best scene takes place between 10, 11, and the War Doctor in the jail cell. When the War Doctor asks 10 and 11 if they ever counted how many children were on Gallifrey, 11 pauses and then says assuredly that he has no idea. And then when he's asked how old he is, he says, I don't know, I lose track. 1200 and something, I think, unless I'm lying. I can't remember if I'm lying about my age, that's how old I am. Then he changes gears when he's confronted about forgetting and he says, tell me, what would be the point? And then 10 jumps in with 2.47 billion. And the War Doctor says, you did count, so either 10 or 9 actually did a head count. But why did 10 assume that 11 had forgotten? Because 11 had said that he had no idea? Come on, Doctor, you're smarter than this. You lie. 10 is assuming that 11 has forgotten his people, his history, acting like nothing ever happened. But 10 doesn't know 11. He doesn't understand that the 11th Doctor is primarily characterized in denial. By contrast, 10 is characterized by judgment. He is so quick to harshly judge, especially himself. As for 11, he's aloof and constantly in denial. He has the hardest time admitting serious things, especially to his own self. It's not that 11 doesn't care, it's just that he tries not to dwell in his own past. Take the regeneration cycle, for example. In The Lodger, Doctor number 11 actually refers to himself as 11th. And then later we find out that he's been keeping the War Doctor a secret. He hasn't forgotten about the War Doctor, he just completely dismissed it so much that he's not even thinking about that. But then we see before the War Doctor is introduced, in Nightmare in Silver, the Doctor says that he can regenerate, but he can't. He's lying to himself. 11's age is always up in the air, he fudges the truth a lot, he runs so hard from Trenzalore. Even in Day of the Doctor, 10 says he wants to know where he's headed, and 11 says, no, you really wouldn't. He's talking about Trenzalore. But 11 is a Peter Pan type Doctor. He's the Doctor of misdirection. Actually, try to name another New Who Doctor that you can imagine as a magician. I'll wait. But by embracing his childlike ideology, he's able to keep his guilt at bay. His demeanor helps hide all of his pain and suffering. But the way that 11 reacts to the question if he knew how many children were on Gallifrey, he pauses and then he brushes it off way too casually. Then he starts angrily cutting at the wall. If he really didn't know, he would not be reacting that way. But this scene in the 50th anniversary special has another psychological aspect to it that I find incredibly interesting. Remember how I said that 11 rarely admits serious things to himself? He's actually having a conversation with himself and not admitting anything. Remember how I said that 10 is so quick to judge himself? He is actually judging the future version of himself. I do not believe that 11 actually forgot the head count of how many children were on Gallifrey that day. I feel like there was some other underlining motive. Maybe he wanted to hear it from himself that there was actually a legitimate reason for remembering something like that. Maybe he wanted to hear it from himself that he should not have kept running. Or maybe he wanted a past version of himself to speak some sense into something that he used to believe. In my mind, 9 is the one that remembered doing it, 10 is the one that felt guilty for doing it, and 11 is the one that tried to forget that he did it. After dealing with the guilt of what happened, after 10 cycled through these regrets and guilt, 11 tried to run away, as he does, but I don't think he ever actually forgot. The moment calls 10 the man who regrets, and 11 the man who forgets, but we also know that the moment isn't entirely truthful. I mean, she at least has no problem omitting truths. In the comments down below, let me know your thoughts. Do you think 11 actually forgot, that he just pushed it out of his mind so much that it wasn't even a thought? Or do you think that he was actually trying to move on, but he never actually forgot? As always, my name is Travis. Thank you for listening to what I have to say, and you will see me tomorrow.